We'll hear change from people who face the unexpected.
I was really angry. I said, heart cancer? Nobody gets heart cancer. Are you kidding? Is that even a thing?
We'll also hear from experts who teach us how we can live happier, healthier lives, like world debate champion Bo So, who helps me rediscover the power of a good disagreement.
I experience disagreement as a kind of closeness.
And this is a fun one. You'll also hear a story from someone who makes his living as a professional pizza enthusiast. He tells me how he got his start.
When you're going to pitch a business to somebody, you clean up and dress nice. I was not in that mode.
That was a preview of the upcoming new season of the award-winning podcast, A Slight Change of Plans. Creator and host Maya Shankar blends storytelling with the science of human behavior to help listeners understand who we are and who we become in the face of a big change. And Maya joins us now. She served also as a senior advisor in the Obama White House, where she founded and served as chair of the White House Behavioral Science team. So it's good to have you on. I'd love for you to share with our viewers the story of exactly why you started this podcast.
Yeah, it's wonderful to be here, Mika. So this podcast definitely has a very personal origin story. I had a formative experience with change when I was a teenager. I was an aspiring concert violinist, finally saw some potential to maybe go pro one day, and then a sudden hand injury ended my career just in a moment. And I felt so disoriented by the change and so unprepared for how to deal with it, because my identity had been so tethered to the violin for so long that I wasn't sure who I was or who I could be without it. And so the goal of A Slight Change of Plans is to empower us all to navigate change with a bit more equanimity and wisdom by learning from people's stories, by learning from scientists, and becoming more comfortable with uncertainty, because that is a staple part of change and is what makes us so uncomfortable. There's a fascinating research study in cognitive science that shows that we are more stressed when we're told we have a 50% chance of getting an electric shock than when we're told we have a 100% chance. So it's pretty wild. We'd rather be certain that a terrible thing is going to happen than to have to manage with any uncertainty. But I'm hoping that A Slight Change of Plans can be a source of, again, wisdom and comfort for people as they're navigating the big curveballs that life inevitably throws our way.
Well, it is. This is a wildly popular podcast, and you're being humble. You went to Juilliard. And you were a private violin student of Itzhak Perlman. So you weren't just any violinist. You were able to recover from that hand injury and to go on a pretty nice run yourself here. I won't embarrass you with all the accolades, but you can look it up. It's unbelievable. So let's talk about, I want to talk about the new season of the podcast, but also the episode that I think really introduced a lot of people to your podcast, which was the one last year about loneliness. And it is something that people have started to talk about a lot more in the last couple of years. I mean, there are metrics that show it can be being alone can be as damaging as being obese, or, there's all these things. It's unhealthy for you. What do you think it was about that topic that so blew up and became this sort of viral sensation, that episode?
Yeah, I mean, it's something we can all relate to, right? Loneliness is a state of mind. It's not really about your environment and how many people you're surrounding yourself with. And I'm so grateful to the U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, for shining a light on loneliness and really elevating it to the status of an epidemic. One really interesting thing that Vivek taught me on this episode is that when we're feeling lonely, it actually puts us into a compromised state of mind, a state of mind that sabotages our ability to form meaningful connections with people. It actually perpetuates the state of loneliness. And this happens for a couple of reasons. One, when we're in a lonely state of mind, we tend to look inwards. We tend to focus on ourselves, and that can be somewhat off-putting for other people, right? It can also lead us to feel like maybe we're not worthy, maybe we're not valuable. So it's very easy for ourselves to tell ourselves a story. Maybe the reason I'm lonely is because I don't bring value to people. I don't bring value to the world. And that can be quite dispiriting.
Well, another one of your topics, it ties in with that, self-compassion. And you dive into why we tend to be less compassionate to our own problems, even if we tend to be a compassionate person towards others. Can you talk about what you learned with that topic?
Yeah, when I first dove into the self-compassion research, I myself was a skeptic. I'm like, what is this feel-good nonsense, right? Like, is this just letting me off the hook and not requiring that I take responsibility for the mistakes that I've made? But it's actually quite the opposite. We know from the research on the science of self-compassion that self-compassion is far more motivating than shame or self-blame. It actually leads us to be more accountable for the mistakes we've made. And I think one finding in the self-compassion work and on loneliness as well, and it's kind of counterintuitive, is that an antidote to some of these feelings of loneliness is actually acts of service. And so it's kind of interesting, right? When we think about being in a lonely state of mind or being really self-critical, we think, okay, we should look inwards and problem solve. But actually, when we look outwards and we focus on helping others, what that can do is instantly connect us with other human beings, to, centered around this common goal that we all care about achieving. And it can also signal to our minds that we are in fact valuable, that we actually do bring worth and value to those around us.
Purpose.
So Maya, at the beginning of the segment, we played a couple of clips, not the one from the professional pizza enthusiast. So that's a great job.
What
I'm
a gig.
an amateur
Don't
pizza
get me hungry
enthusiast
this early in
myself.
the morning, guys.
But the other was Bo So, who's a champion debater. And obviously your conversation with him was about debate and getting your opinion across, but also about listening. Tell us what he said.
Yeah, so, I think when we think about the world champion debaters, we think about that charismatic presence that goes on stage and has wonderful oratory skills and is wonderful at thinking on their feet. And Bo reminded me that actually listening, active listening, is at the top of the list. And listening is not just the virtuous thing to do, it's actually essential in order to move the conversation forward. And when we talk about listening, what that really means is not simply playing a silent role, but actually investigating the other person's point of view, drawing into the light their full set of views. And the reason why this is so important is that we will never be able to convince anyone to change their minds unless they feel that their concerns and their whatever issues they have with your line of argumentation has in some way been responded to. And so again, we sometimes come to debates and we think, okay, here are my 5 talking points, right? I'm going to ram them down your throat. But actually a more effective way of engaging in discourse is to be a really thoughtful, attentive listener. And I loved that reminder. I think it would make us all better at the disagreement
and
table.
Easier to persuade people if they feel like they've been heard and seen. They might come around to your point of view with a real discussion.
People are very attuned to whether you're naturally curious about their point of view, and so we can pick up on that in conversation. So when we display that natural curiosity, walls go down. People are much more receptive to answering your questions and having that open mind.
Good lesson for our politicians who might be watching here this morning. This is just a small taste of the podcast, but you can see why it's so incredibly popular. The new season of A Slight Change of Plans debuts on Monday, June 5th. You can get that wherever you get your podcasts. Maya Shankar, thank you so much. It's great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.